With almost every smartphone maker pouring their smartphones in sub 20,000 segment, it's tougher for the brands and smartphones in general to penetrate. It's also tougher for the consumers to choose one. While Vivo still sells like hotcakes in offline market, its online presence is still murky. Launching online this time, the all-new Y12s from Vivo starts at Rs 17,999. So does it make any significant difference? Let's find out. Starting off with built-in design, the Vivo Y12s rocks the plastic build. Its plastic frame and plastic bag helps to keep its weight at 191 grams. The weight is spread evenly and it does not feel awkward in hand, plus the heftiness is complementing the in-hand feel of the device. To the right, we have the volume rockers and the power button that also doubles as a fingerprint scanner. The buttons feel nice and tactile. It doesn't even feel cheap, but while testing it out, the fingerprint sensors are snappy and fast. Given that the sensor has been embedded in the power button itself, it's ergonomic. The Vivo Y12s flaunts a 6.51-inch HD Plus IPS panel with an aspect ratio of 20:9. The SD Plus resolution of display is what we have come to expect, at least at this price point, when it spreads across 6.51-inch diagonal, gives a pixel density of 270 pixels per inch. So it isn't the sharpest, but the panel itself is good. The colors come out vibrant and the viewing angles are great. The display is bright, so there is no problem in outdoor visibility here. A full HD display would have been great though. The device runs on FunTouch OS 11, built on top of Android 10. Apart from some minor tweaks, Vivo has gotten pretty close to stock Androids, adding snappiness and responsiveness to the device. This results in good user experience, which is not very extraordinary. There is support for multi-window. It works well until you start using some overly taxing apps like Lightroom. To the back, we have the dual camera setup, including 13-megapixel f2.2 primary sensor backed up by a dedicated 2-megapixel f2.4 depth sensor. The output images and the detail levels are good. SDR works pretty well considering the subpar specs. For those portrait shots, the 2-megapixel depth sensor that Vivo has thrown in is simply not for the prime time, and more often than not, the background blur looks unnatural and creeps onto the subject. The color reproduction is natural, and even if camera isn't something that will blow up your mind, it's a good daylight snapper and isn't apt for day-to-day social media posting. On the video front, the resolution is capped at 1080p at 30 frames per second. The output is okay with good dynamic range and details, but the lack of stabilization will make the overall footage shaky mess. However, it is in low light that the camera of Y12s struggles, plus there is no night mode on Y12s to compensate the low light mediocrity on the device. The inclusion of Pro mode would have taken up the camera experience up a notch. Talking of notch, there is an 8-megapixel f1.8 sensor embedded inside the dewdrop notch, and it works well and produces good clear images. The edge detection on the portrait shot taken by a selfie shooter are better than that from rear, so it's a bit weird. 1080p at the rate of 30 frames per second video recording is presented and accounted for. Vivo Y12s is powered by the MediaTek Helio P35 chipset. It is an octa-core chipset built on 12nm fabrication process. While day-to-day task apps run fine on Vivo Y12s, it is an entry-level chipset and performs that way only. Anything heavy on the device flutters and app crashes are bound to occur. Plus 3GB of RAM barely manages to keep apps running in the background. Graphic duties are handled by PowerVR G8320 GPU, and gaming experience, though it's not up to the mark, you can game on this device. Talking about the battery, the 5000 mAh battery on the Vivo Y12s is what keeps the device powered, and it is the strong suit for the device. On the single charge, you can easily push it through 2 days of use and even more. The battery life is excellent on the device, and my only gripe is that the charging speed could have been better. The bundled 10-watt charger takes more than 3 hours to fully tank up. As each device is catered to a different niche, the Vivo Y12s is definitely not for everyone. The design and addition of Fingerprint Scanner definitely makes it an appealing device for masses, but with chipset and camera that looks pale in comparison to other devices out there, the Vivo Y12s is hardly a phone that we can recommend you, at least at this price range. But at the end of the day, if you're looking for a secondary phone that's a head turner for sure and can last you for a whole day, the Vivo Y12s is not a bad option. Just keep in mind that you won't enjoy every bits and pieces of this phone. Thank you for taking out your time. For more updates, stay tuned to Inepsters. With that said, this is me, Charshakya, signing off.